Hey y'all, we're taking some comfort food to the next level with a crispy golden brown chicken breast coated in breadcrumbs and paired with a creamy, dreamy, homemade Alfredo sauce made with heavy whipping cream. This dish is perfect balance of crispy and creamy. Let's get cooking. First off, we're going to take a meat tenderizer and we're going to begin tenderizing the chicken breast. You want to make sure that they're good and thin and tenderized before you begin. Next, you're going to take 2 eggs. You can have 1 egg, but take 2 eggs. I use 2. And begin to scramble those up to get your egg mixture ready. So you can take that egg mixture and dip it into the breadcrumbs. So after pouring my breadcrumbs, I will add some seasoning into that mixture just to give it some more flavor. I'd add in salt and pepper. I do add in some of my favorite garlic seasoning, southern flavor. The garlic seasoning, it's from Alabama, and you can get that on the internet. When it comes to the flour, I do the exact same thing when it comes to the flour. I just didn't show that on screen. I have no direction of when it comes to measurements when it comes to add the seasoning. I just kind of eye it and pour until I like what I see, and then I just keep pouring it, and then I just mix it all together after I pour it all together. That's that southern flavor as you see there. So after mixing up the breadcrumb mixture, I take my chicken, I do put that into the egg wash. I make sure it's good and coated and soak it in there for a few minutes or a few seconds and let it drip off. And then once that's good and dripped off, I put it into the breadcrumbs. I give it a good shake and make sure that's evenly coated. I do this a couple times. I just make sure it's good and coated. I did speed this process up. I did do a few pieces of chicken here, and the other pieces of chicken, I did do the flour for my husband. So as you begin to prep your chicken, you want to put it into that breadcrumb mixture. Make sure you get that completely covered. I did 3 at a time. I kind of struggled with this, getting them completely coated, but I did fairly well with it. I took them out and just started doing 1 at a time to make sure they get fully coated. So after coating my chicken in the flour and or breadcrumbs, I laid them out to the side and then just let them sit there until they can coat all. So while the chicken sits there and soaks up all the bread and the flour, I take some asparagus and cuts off the ends just so I can have a healthy part of the meal, since a lot of this consists of heavy whipping cream and cheese. So I figured, why not throw some greenery in there just to make it appear healthy. But I do pepper it down. I add some salt. I did add olive oil so everything can stick. I did add some garlic flavoring, the southern flavoring right there, you see right there. Again, that's from Alabama, and you can get that on the internet. That's how I got it. And I just mix it all up, make sure it's fully covered, and then just pop that into the oven at about 375, maybe 400, just for 10 to 12 minutes. Just depends on the thickness of the asparagus. And then as I did that, I began to pour my heavy whipping cream for my Alfredo sauce, or cream sauce. I don't really know if it's considered that, but I add some southern flavor in there, of course. That's some of my favorite garlic. I add some Italian seasoning. Again, I'm not eyeing this. I just add as I go and eye it. I add some salt and pepper. I do add some nutmeg. That's going to be shown here in a minute. A little bit of nutmeg, not a lot of nutmeg, but I add a good amount just to get a little bit of flavor in there. So after adding all my seasoning to the Alfredo sauce or the heavy whipping cream, I just let that sit down on low just to kind of let it simmer. I begin to shred my cheese. I use Asiago and Parmesan. Again, I don't have an exact measurements on this. I just go by what I like. I like cheese, so I add enough cheese in there just to make it good and cheesy. After I grate all my cheese, I do just mix it all together just to make it an even amount. So now it's the time to fry up that chicken. You get your good old handy skillet right there, and then you throw in some vegetable oil or olive oil. I do use vegetable oil, and I place my chicken in there. I made sure that it's good and hot before I put that in there. I got my chicken to a good golden brown, crispy brown. And then at the exact same time, I added in the flour chicken. I should have done that the other way, but I forgot. And he was okay with it, my husband, since his is the floured. So I made sure those were good and golden brown as well. And I laid those to the side so they can just sit and rest. At this time, I started cooking up my Alfredo cream sauce, the heavy whipping cream sauce. So here I am stirring up those seasonings that I had in there. I start to add in the cheese, let that cheese start to melt, and I whip it or mix it up very well with a silicone whisk. I don't use metal on this because it's a metal pan, so I prefer not to use metal on metal. So I'm using a silicone. I just keep adding cheese until I like the consistency and the color of the Alfredo cream cheese sauce. Now's the best part. You're beginning to plate your chicken. I take the asparagus out of the oven. It's good and flimsy, crispy, kind of. You can add Parmesan cheese to that as well. So I take my chicken and I pour the heavy whipping cream sauce, Alfredo sauce, all over my chicken, and you can put that on top of your Alfredo, and you're good to go. And it was a yummy meal. Everybody liked it. My kids liked it. It's just one of my favorite all-time meals. Hope you enjoy. Bye.